Welcome everyone to Here for the Horses. Glad you're here for the horses. We have some fun stuff today. We're going to talk a little bit about a horse that I worked on, which was his name was Confetti. Interesting situation, so I want to talk to you guys about it because I think you might find it interesting. He has major gelding scar issues, and I'll go into that a little bit more. Most of you have probably heard about a gelding scar. And so I'll talk a little bit about what that is, and then I'm also going to talk about kind of how they work on it, and then also body work too. So that'll be something we talk about. We're going to continue on with our going through this book. Okay, so this book is called Equine Structural Integration Myofascial Release Manual. This week was interesting to me because we still haven't really got into the myofascial stuff, although I'm going to give you one homework today. And then there's going to be a little bit of this book that I skip. And then next week, we're going to get into some of the serious moves. But I was looking at the moves. There's Wanda. But I was looking at the moves and I was like, oh, this looks familiar. So half of you already know how to do this because you've taken my course. So that's kind of funny. But there's going to be little variations, which is very common with all body work, right? Just like natural horsemanship. Okay. So with natural horsemanship, I've done Pirelli, I've done Clinton Anderson, I've done a little bit of Warwick, I've done a lot of different people. And it's funny, they have different names for the same moves, right? So I started with Pirelli. I moved to Clinton Anderson, went back to Pirelli, and my Pirelli, my original Pirelli horse did just fine with Clinton Anderson, and then I switched horses, did Clinton Anderson with that next horse, did just fine with Pirelli, because it's like the same stuff, different names. So that's good, that's kind of cool. And you also find that is very similar with body work. So Masterson method is similar to Tellington T-touch. Massage is similar to myofascial release. And then you have your different types of massage also. So they just kind of have different benefits. And it's good to know all of them a little bit if you can. And then that helps you. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the moves. So I did find it funny as I was scrolling through here. He has a move called um, the fetlock pull. And I was like, oh my. I know that move. So, oh yeah, the fetlock pull, ear circles. Okay, so I don't really teach circles, but I teach ears, ear stuff. Get the tension of the ears. He does work the tip of the ears, okay, and then he has mouth work, so I'm excited to see what he has to do about that. And then he has nose work. So it's going to be fun to kind of dive into just some of the differences and some of the similarities. Now, last week, you know that we'd kind of finished up talking about issues with fascia, so scar tissue and how to handle that, why that occurs, why that happens. And I agreed with pretty much everything he said. Oh, that was another thing I was going to do. But at one point in time, he makes a claim. Let me find it here that I disagreed with. Okay. So he says range of motion. Passive range of motion is the range of motion that another person, in this case, can take the part through while the horse is not resisting the movement. For example, taking the shoulder forward and backward to the natural stopping point. Passive range of motion is hard to judge with another being that doesn't communicate verbally with us. We have to be able to tell the other not to resist our movement or our body part. So he's saying that it's really hard to do passive range of motion. And I disagree. And I'm going to show you why I disagree with a quick video here of a horse that I worked on named Rhythm. Okay. And I'm going to show you this video because this kind of talks about what he's saying is that it's hard to take a horse through a range of motion, asking them to be relaxed when maybe they're not relaxed. So, but I want to show you this video if I can find it quickly. Here it is. where this is the reason he says that. So let me get you guys back. I'm going to share this, share, and then I want to look here. Okay, some of you guys might have seen this. This is on um my Winning Your Horse's Heart page. Okay, so I'm actually doing leg range of motion with this horse. And this is a really good example of a horse that is not relaxed. Okay, so what he's saying here is that it's hard to get a horse or whatever, another being, to do something if you can't really communicate that with them. And I'm kind of saying it's not that hard. So let's watch this and we can kind of talk about it. Wait. No. Yeah, rhythm. No. No. Okay, go ahead, figure it out. So you guys can see that she's not really relaxed, right? Like this is not relaxed. Trying to figure it out. There she goes. She's stretching that tricep right now. Yeah. I saw that. But see how this keeps bobbing back and forth, that foot? Oh, now she's resisting. Now she's holding it up. So I don't want her holding up. I want her releasing. Yeah. Relaxing. There you go. That's right here. There. Now it's relaxed. Yeah. Okay. Oh, those are tight. So flexors here. There. Good. Yep. Good job. Jiggle. See the whole scapula move? Oh yeah. Gorgeous. Oh, yeah. Gorgeous. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk about is that you can see what he's saying because she was moving, like she was holding it up and then forcing it and then pulling it back and then forcing it. But what did I do, and anyone can answer this, to get her to relax? Waited. Waited. That's it. I just wait them out. Okay, so range of motion stuff is not for the impatient. Okay. I mean, I'll tell horses just so that they really understand. I got all day, babe. I got nowhere to go. I have nothing better to do. I got all day. And that it changes the way you're working with them. When you say, I have nothing better to do, there's nothing else going on. I will stand here and hold your leg forever. So you just have to wait. You have to wait and like truly wait until you feel relaxation. So that's the hard part. The hard part is not getting relaxation. The hard part is waiting for the relaxation. So that mare that was the first time I'd massaged that mare. She did not know what I was asking her to do. Now, generally, humans don't want horses relaxing their body weight or their legs on them, right? So she was like, let me hold it up for you. And I was like, I don't want that. And normally they're on the lazy enough side to kind of give up pretty quick, which she did. Okay. And then when she hits tension also is another thing. They're going to pull that leg back up because they get a little uncomfortable. And then you go, that's fine. That's fine. You know, that's why pulling never works. You can't pull, you can't technically stretch, by pulling. You can if they're actually mentally relaxed. But if they're tight and you're pulling, they're just going to lock up and pull back. They're not going to do that. So waiting for that relaxation is huge. And that was a cool example of that. Okay. I didn't write to him though. I didn't write to him. So that was kind of cool. So we talked about that yesterday or last week. And then your homework for this week was to do the jaw release. Okay. So let me get a bookmark in here before I mess it up. Okay. And we used Sue's example of Boone not wanting to do the jaw release as kind of like our inspiration to go out there and get it done. Okay, so I had a client also call me and say that her horse won't do it. So let me pull that up also. Here it is. And let me share it. Hold on. So this is going to look familiar because it's very similar to Sue's. Share. Okay, y'all can see that? Does it matter if I make it bigger? Does that help? Okay, here we go. So this is Casey. All right. I know I have volume on here somewhere. Where is it? Clamp your thumb underneath the jaw so you have more stability. There you go. There you go. There you go. And then give him a break. Excellent. Excellent. Do the other side. There you go. Good. Oh, good boy. There's the release. Oh, there he goes. Oh, poor thing. She torture you? Oh, there's a little baby yawn. Did you guys see that little tiny
Okay, so that's release
yawn?
tension. Okay. On the lowers. Okay. To do the thumb on the top. Try to have man hands. No, do it. Let me see it. Oh yeah, you can't get your fingers over the top. That's all right. There you go. Nice. Nice. Give it to him. Nice. Excellent. There you go. Beautiful. Yeah, you got to shake on that one. Good. Let's do the other side. Good. Almost. Good. Give it to him. Yes. Good. So you're on your way. One thing is how this is a little too loose, so I would grab two of them just to give yourself a little bit more control. Plant. So see, I have a good hold. Yeah. Okay. So that helps. Good boy. Encouragement. He needs a lot of encouragement. He says, good boy. That's such a good boy. Good boy. Yeah. And then I'm going to flip right to the top here in a second. Good. Good. I'm going to flip to the top. Bam. Just go right for it. And I'm protecting my face here because I can feel he's pushing into me a little bit. Good. And when I feel him get soft, I'm going to tell him, good, good. There. That's what I want. Good job. Okay. Good job, Munchkin. Good job, Munchkin. Always with his personality, keep things kind of fun. There we go. Excellent job. He's like, oh, I'm going to get that yawn out of there. Good job, Bubba. And then before you go to the other side, you can go and scratch somewhere that he likes. Tell him he's good looking. Tell him he looks good in blue. Okay. And then you go to the other side. Same thing, clamp. Good boy. That's what I want. That's what I want. Good boy. Watch your face. Good boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That looks nice to me. I'm going to flip to the top. Bam. Good boy. Good boy. just need to get yourself a pair of man hands.
Right.
If they're short, you gotta grow them. Stretch them at nighttime. They'll get bigger. There, that was excellent. Okay? And that's where I would stop. That's where I would be done.
Okay. So, good. Okay. So, just another situation where the horse didn't really want to do that jaw release. She was having a lot of bridling issues. And they kind of came out of nowhere, which anytime something comes out of nowhere, I go, well, what happened? Right? Horses don't buck out of nowhere. They don't stop taking the bit out of nowhere. They don't have trailering issues out of nowhere. Something happened somewhere, right? Or it's a result of anxiety or a behavior or something, right? So she wasn't quite sure, which is normal, right? We normally don't know what happened unless we can figure it out. But he really wouldn't take the bridle. He was throwing her around. He like hit her in the head like 3 times when she was trying to put the bridle on once. So she wanted to go to a jaw release to see if she can get some of that tension out. Let me pull it back up again here so that we can talk about it because there's a couple things. What are a couple things that you guys noticed that I did that you think helped? And you can unmute or write it in the comments. What are some things that I do that makes it a little bit like it gives me an advantage? I did the first one right off the bat. So watch how she has her hand. Okay. Here's a good picture. So she has her hand like this. I want your hand like this. Okay.
It made it kind of seem like she was kind of losing control. You seemed
Yeah.
to like, I gotcha.
Got you.
Take it. I gotcha. And she was kind of like, whoa, going all
Yeah.
over with them.
And that's how you'll get bit too, right? Because your finger will slide in the wrong spot when they're chomping. Okay.
Plus,
So you
sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying you were able to, it was a little bit loose, that halter. So you were able to, and you're a little taller, I think, but the horse didn't
Yeah.
throw its neck. It seemed a little more relaxed with you right next to its side and the way you were holding it.
Yeah, excellent. So I'm glad she had that loose halter because we're working on the jaw, so I certainly don't want a tight one, and we'll talk about that next. But it was so loose she couldn't really hold on to the horse. Like he had so much movement in his face. So I just took the 2 parts of the halter and made it smaller. And I think also I have a tendency to be firm with everything that I do, and that firmness gives them confidence. Okay? Because I still move, but that firmness makes them go, okay, she's got me. So like a good dance partner is not like, hey, they kind of gotcha. They kind of got you and they know what they're doing. And that always feels really comforting. So just having, and this is the same thing. So this is not firm. This is kind of loosey-goosey, a lot of movement. This is firm. Very small difference. Okay. This halter out here is not firm. I got your halter here is firm. Okay. And then also my position of where I stand. Okay, so I stand, this arm is pressed up against his kind of neck/jaw. And then I'm standing back further. Okay. So they like to do this move, and we saw it a lot with Boone, where they throw their head up and they come down on the other side of you. So you've lost them. Okay, so with me, he can't get on the other side of me. I'm at his neck. Okay, so that's another slight difference that I had. I also have bigger hands, right? So I always say to people, you just need a pair of man hands, that's fine. Because I can get a grip over the nose also. I did just work on one horse though, I couldn't do it. I was like, dang, boy, got a big nose. And so in that case, sometimes I'll bring the halter down and I'll loop my fingers over the halter, although I don't have to do that very often. Okay. But do you see how my shoulder is butted up against his neck? There's no room for him to flail around. There's not a ton of freedom. It's like I have my dance partner wrapped in my arms. We're good to go. Okay. So that was just a couple of the differences that I see make a pretty big difference. And then after that, I also told her about my arm under the chin move and over the nose. Right? I know I've talked to some of you guys about that. So this arm here, instead of holding the halter here, goes underneath and then loops over the top of the nose. So this hand is over the horse's nose like that. That's going to give you a lot more security, but the downside of that one is that you had better be able to let go because they will toss you like a monkey into a tree. Okay, so if I use that one. So for example, if the horse is so tall that they could whip me into the rafters, I probably won't use that one. Because when you got a grip, you kind of have a grip, and if they toss you up real fast, it could be bad. Or if I like to use that one a lot when their move is to dive down. So the dive down getaway. Because that your arm's underneath there, they can only go so far. So they kind of give up on that one. Okay, any other observations or something interesting you found on that? So that was last week's homework. Leanne had said that so the bottom bars you're getting pretty good, but the top you're not for Ellie. Okay, so that's okay. Go ahead, Leanne.
Oh, I was just going to say she started doing that. It's been months and months and months ago because I do the jaw release on her probably every couple weeks because she doesn't eat well, and I just feel that loosens up her jaw and her tongue. And I do use the under the neck because often she's in her stall without a halter.
Yeah.
So, and she's not going to throw me around, so I don't really have to worry about that. But I don't know why she just starts sucking on my thumb. It's like a baby sucking on my thumb. And
That's
my
funny.
hands are not man hands. So, I mean, by the time I lock up here, I do not get really inside there that much. So that might be part of
That
it,
could be why.
that I'm not in there.
Yeah, it should be the center of the roof of their mouth. So
Yeah,
maybe
I'm just barely getting
try
under.
that, what I talked about, using the halter with your fingertips and then getting up into the top.
Okay, because yeah, I'm just barely on the other side of her
Yeah.
bar.
That could be the reason. Another thing I want you guys to try this week, as you're continuing with the jaw work, is in the center of their gums, and I know that we've talked about this, in the front, there is a pressure point, okay? And so this is a fun one also when the horse has funny things about their mouth. So you can do it two ways. You can go on top of their lip and press into the center of their gum. Okay, it's right where their lip starts coming out from their gum. It's right there. So you can press through their nose into that spot. I find that hard because then they go and they kick you off of it. Another thing you can do is go in between like this. Okay. Another thing you can do is your whole finger. So I actually wrap my fingers on both sides of their teeth, right? Because they only have those teeth there. And I go like this, and I lock in and I press this knuckle into that spot. Okay. So try that this week. That's a fun one. And you're going to have to hold that too. That's not a do it once and they're released. So they'll start, I don't know. Okay. That's a fun one. And then what's really nice is when you have your hand in there, they'll stick their big, fat, juicy lip over the top of your hand, and it feels so nice. It's just like a little kiss. So that's a fun one to do, and they'll start like kind of moving it around. So check out Nancy, your horses don't like that. They're like, get your farm hands out of my mouth. Who doesn't like it? Some of them have to. Some of them have to like it. So yeah, give it a try. See what you got going on. That's another one that'll get that jaw action going. And I think a lot of chiropractors teach that. And I'm not sure if that's taught in school or if they've just learned it from their modality or what it is. But I find it interesting. So you can try that one too. I'll try to remember to do a video of that one. Let's see. Any questions on that? No? Okay, so I wanted to show you, well, first I'm going to talk about it. I had one of those situations where you're like, I don't know if I can help this. I had someone contact me who I'd worked on their other horse, and they have a young horse, 18 months old. He was gelded. He had an issue with a gelding scar. He had an infection. Okay. So he went straight back to Pilchuck, which is like the big vet in the area. And they had another surgery with him. So he wasn't gelded by them, but they put him under and had a surgery. Supposedly he had an infection in there. They took a lot of tissue out. Then he went on recovery, and then I don't remember the details. All I remember is like halfway through the story, I was like, oh my gosh, this poor horse, this poor horse has been through it. So he's ended up having 2 surgeries after the gelding. And so he's not walking correctly. He's not moving correctly. He's okay under saddle, but he's not under saddle, but he's okay. Like he kind of like warms up out of it a little bit, which makes sense, right? If it's fascia. And so when she was telling me this, I was like, oh, I think this is one kind of out of my pay grade, to be honest with you. And 2, generally to truly release a gelding scar, it's done under anesthesia and it's done rectally. Okay, so definitely out of my pay grade. So I was looking into these gelding scar situations. So they will put them under anesthesia, they put them in a chute, and then they go in rectally and they find these certain areas with their hand and they will massage them. So it's internal massage, which I find interesting. But they have to locate the spot that it is, because it can be so many different spots. Because what they do is they trace the tube that goes to the testicles, and that's generally where the problem lies, because it also goes through stuff. So it goes through tissue. So that little horse, or not little, he's not little. That horse had infection in it, so it infected all those areas. Okay, so they went in, I don't know what tissue they took out. They took a lot of tissue out. And so he just had a lot of issues up in there. He's put on antibiotics, and he has healed at this point in time. So I was kind of like, oh gosh, when you kind of walk in already defeated, you're like, I don't know if I can help this horse. But I was like, I can make him feel better. Whether the gelding scar is going to be any better or not, I don't know. So I'll show you a little bit about that situation. Oh, there's also the issue that, one, he's young. Okay. Young horses, when in pain, are dangerous. And all I normally say to that is they do not regulate their emotions well. So with your older horses, they go, stop it. No, I don't like that. Ooh, stop. And then they'll kick you or bite you or whatever. But you generally get 4 warnings at least before they do something. I mean, they're just, they're good horses. They've been around. They know they're not supposed to kill us. Baby horses, nah, you'll get like a flick of an ear and then they'll fire away at you. So there's definitely a safety issue. I've been kicked at 3 times. 2 of the times was by young horses under 2, and all 3 of them were in pain. Okay, so I don't get kicked at hardly ever. But if they're young, I'll get kicked at, or if they're in like a lot of pain. The other horse that kicked at me had been broodmare 12 times. So she was She was not feeling great. She's doing fantastic now though. Anyways, so let's take a look at this video. I have some time marks done on here. So let's take a look. That's not what I need anymore. I have it up. There we go. So in case you guys didn't know, I'm darn near 6 foot. This horse is huge and he's a baby. So make this big for you. Here's the beginning of, I'm just kind of working my way, and he's very like nosy, you know, baby. He's got a baby brain. He's kind of pushy, trying to knock my stuff over. So I had the owner come out to hold. So gelding scar is way up in there. And I'm telling her to be careful because this is tension. This is emotional stuff also. Now, one thing I want you to notice, where's my left hand? I talked to you guys about this safety move, okay? Put your hand, if you're gonna get kicked, put your hand at the stifle, lock it, lock your wrist, lock your arm. Now, I'm not getting closer to lock my elbow into my body. So I have it locked up at my shoulder, which isn't the best, but I didn't want to get closer in case he didn't like this. And did you see that? So watch what that does. There. So I can feel the kick coming before it comes. I can feel it because he can't move this leg without moving this joint first. So my hand knows when he's planning something, because the first thing that happens is he switches weight to the other leg, and then this joint here unlocks. So I have the back of my hand on that. It's not directly on the joint, but it's feeding into that joint. And for him to unlock that joint, he has to engage those muscles. So I felt it in my hand before he even moved. Okay, it's really helpful. The second thing it does is that if they actually kick, because they generally kick like out and back if they're trying to get you. This, because I have my arm locked, it pushes me backward. Okay. And then I readjust.
Boy.
Now I'm literally just putting my hand on his stifle to see, and then I want to give him a break because he needs one, right? Look at him hold his leg up.
There you go.
There, a little shake. So I'm just trying to get him to accept what I'm planning. I'm just trying to show him like, bro, I don't have like a scalpel. I'm not going to stick anything cold up there. Like, we're good. And you saw that he got a little irritated. We did find he likes the inside of his ears scratched, so we use that to our advantage. So she would do that while I'm working with him. And then I did come up with this bright idea to work the opposite leg. Because that way, if he's going to kick at my hand, he's going to kick with the opposite leg. That worked really well on this one. I don't normally have to do that. So then I switched to this leg. I'm trying to get an idea of what I feel. So he's handling that pretty well.
On the opposite leg.
Now I'm up in there now. You guys see how I've slowly worked my way up there? I'm still just trying to feel for something that doesn't seem normal. You know, Carol last week had said that it can feel cold to your touch, so I was kind of feeling for that also. There. See how far my arm is up there now? I'm up in there. And I'm feeling all around. He's doing really well. So he was looking for some relief, right? Because when he didn't like something,
I got way up there.
yeah, he threw his head
So
around.
I'm not feeling restriction and I'm not feeling anything cold. So, and they release on chocolate, place, online that has really cool video.
Yeah, I sent her like 3 or
Okay,
4
yeah,
videos
I'm positive she's not local, but
on how they release it.
see if he has any negative.
See, look at him
I
hold
can
his
see
leg
in
up.
there any negative feelings about it or not.
Nah.
Perhaps, good boy. There, good boy.
He did really well.
So it's a little more sensitive.
So see.
All right, so let's get a good
So
hold on him on the
that was the situation with that horse. I spent a lot of time being very soft and going slowly and working my way kind of up into his groin area. I did not feel any restrictions. I did not feel anything tight. I didn't feel anything cold. I didn't feel anything out of ordinary. Everything was very soft and supple and warm. Okay, so it leads me to believe, based off how many surgeries he had and the extent, she really went into a lot of detail with me about what was done. He's got to have stuff internally. I could not pick up the right hind to do the leg range of motion. So I did use the cotton rope method, which worked great, where you just kind of gently put that rope around the back foot and ask him to bring it forward. And he did really well with that. I only did it once because that poor little horse had been tortured by me for like an hour and 25 minutes, which is wild for a baby. That's wild that he lasted that long. So he did super well. I was a little disappointed that I felt like I didn't do much for him. I got some tension out of his neck, jaw, and pole, and a little bit in his ribs. So I kind of went home like, yeah, I was worried I wasn't gonna be able to help him. She calls me the next day and says that he's way better, significantly better. So that was cool. Definitely don't think that I'm the solution that he needs, but he did feel better. So that was fantastic. And he was moving nice. And he drank about I'd had her walk him afterward, right? Because it was a pretty serious session. And so she was walking around and every lap he would stop at the water trough and drink. And she's like, he's drinking the whole trough. It was one of those like 40-gallon ones. So he just kept drinking and drinking and drinking water. So I don't know what we released in him, but He definitely felt better the next day, she said, and she could tell a big difference. So I did recommend that she find a specialist for him. He's probably going to need to be put under anesthesia and have that worked over. And hopefully I'll be able to attend that because I would love to watch how that's done. That'd be super fun. So that was that situation. I do have that entire massage on video. It's long. But I'll break it into some parts for you guys because I know some of you would be pretty interested in that. Okay. Carol, is Carol still on here? Yeah, there she is. What were we going to talk about? You had something happen, right? I told you can talk about it.
Yes. I had I just ordered because I'm having trouble with one of my horses with their hooves, well, going in 11 years. And I just got Susan Kaufman and Christina Klein's Essential Hoof Book. And it is amazing. It's got so much good information, good illustrations, really good book. So that's what we were going to talk about.
What's the name of it again?
It's called The Essential Hoof Book. The Complete Modern Guide to Horse Feet. Anatomy, care, and health, disease diagnosis, and treatment. I have it right here. I can show you the cover.
Yeah, hold it up.
Hang on. I can switch this, right? Can I switch the thing? Wow, I'll just switch it like this. Here we go.
Is that hard? Is that a hard copy?
It is a hard copy. It wasn't
Wow.
that expensive. I think it was $45, and it's spiral bound.
Okay. Okay, good.
Super amazing book. That was one of the first books I got when I got my horses, trying to figure things out. I've given it as, if you have horse people on your list, it's a great gift. I've given it to a farrier and a trainer, and both of them are just over the moon.
I just
Surprised they hadn't had the book already. So super good book.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks
Cindy,
for
were
sharing.
you the one that commented on this? Or was
I-
it someone?
No, I don't.
Oh, someone else did. Yeah, didn't they?
Yeah, it's great.
All right, cool. Well, I'll do a little print screen of this and I'll put that up on our group. There we go. More learning stuff. That's what we get. Okay, cool. Thank you, Carol, for that. Anything else? Guys got questions at all? I'm gonna quickly go over what I learned this week in this book. I have it too. Oh, you do, Marin. Cool. Maybe I'll have you guys start doing book reports. Can you please post the book for the study? Yeah. Oh, for the book studies. Yeah. Did I put it up? It is in, oh yeah, I'll put that up on the main, page. If someone can throw it in the notes too. I know some of you have it, this one here. Boop, boop. Okay, it's called, Equine Structural Integration Myofascial Release Manual. Okay, so this week was interesting. It talked about nature and nurture of horses, and it talked about herd mentality, which all of us in natural horsemanship find interesting, right? So I thought this was cute. Have you ever noticed in your pasture there's always one horse on alert? Yep. I got my Georgia Peach for that. That's her. I mean, the other one would get killed in an instant out in the wild, and then Chester is too alert, right? He's making stuff up in his own head. So Georgia's the one that's always paying attention. I also think it's interesting that, we have air balloons out here, and they'll land in big pastures because they need somewhere big to land. And so one time I was always like, it'd be cool if that landed in our pasture, because I know my horses are, not gonna run through a fence or something, which some of them, some of people are like, don't land in my pasture. But one time an air balloon came down, and I find it interesting that Georgia runs to it to the danger, looks at it, and then does a lap around the pasture to alert everyone, and then runs back to it and looks at it, and then runs back around and alerts everyone. And she's like the go-to alerter. So I find that that's super interesting. It also says that in natural horse herds, there are members of both sexes. Okay, and we're all kind of like, yeah, duh, we know that. But there, and then they say there's no spayed or neutered horses. These are two key elements. Having members of both sexes and living within the herd are often lost in how we keep horses today, obviously, right? Second, horses are often separated in barns where they can't see each other. Okay. This is not only unnatural, but it puts them under stress, he says. Okay. And he also ties that into how horses are only noisy when they're separated. You guys ever watch movies and you're like, that's a fake nicker? Like, horses do not nicker that much, honestly. I mean, the only time Georgia says anything ever is when she's hungry. That's the only time she nickers. So some horses talk more than others. Chester talks a lot. He's a talker, but they don't nicker like they do in the movies. I always think it's funny. So that's, and like, according to him and what he thinks is that it's a lot of times when you can't see them, they want to know where their herd mates are. And we've all seen that with maybe not our own horses, but other horses as well. Okay. The leader of the herd is normally, oh, this was interesting. The leader of the herd is normally the dominant female, while the protector of the herd is the dominant male. So that was interesting. Okay. In fact, horses only call to each other when there is some stress in their life, as when someone they cannot see enters their barn. Ooh, my husband just fried up some onions. I'm gonna start coughing here. Woo! I guess they nicker some other times than that, so I'll slightly disagree, but I know what they're saying. Okay, body language. Horses usually avoid making a loud noise that can attract predators, but they do vocalize in a close manner. So a mother nickers to her foal, for instance, or snorting at a horse or human that is in their space. However, the primary means of communication between horses is visual body language. Okay, so that's where understanding our horses and body language is super important. The body language of the horse is incredibly complex. The swish of a tail in irritation, the licking of the lips in submission, the blinking of eyes, the licking of another horse or human to show dominance. Did anyone know that? Licking another horse shows dominance? I did not know that. I have not seen that. Have I?
And
I don't know.
When I watch my horses in the, when they're just out together, I don't see that it's licking, but I see them grooming one another.
Yeah.
Like Buckaroo will come and just work on Adobe's neck and up here and on his crest and his withers. And sometimes they'll groom one another, but I've never seen licking.
I don't think I have either. So that's part of our homework, is we're going to pay attention to the lickers of our herd. Okay. And see if it fits with the being more dominant. But failure to understand this language can lead the human and horse to a potential conflict. Isn't that the truth? Right? Isn't that the truth? Okay. And then he goes into a little bit more there. Says the labeling of the horse as aggressive can also prevent the human from understanding and correcting the behavior that evoked the horse's frustration. That's so true. Okay, given that the horse evolved in a visually open environment, the primary tool for asserting danger is the eye. The ears and the nose are used as a secondary sense to the eye. Okay. Many horse-human interaction problems stem from the human's body language giving the horse a mixed message. We all know that. A person goes into a pasture, catches their horse, and leads it from the herd. When one of the herd comes up to investigate, the person becomes tense, telling the horses through body language that there's nothing to be afraid of. Well, that there's something to be afraid of. The horses raise their heads to see, hear, and smell the threat. The horses didn't think it is them that is the person's fear, so they must be something else. Now the two horses looking for the threat, and the person becomes even more fearful, and then harshly and aggressively corrects the horse for acting like a horse, raising their head. This misreading of horse's natural way of being and then punishing it for doing what comes naturally can cause a distrust of the person in the horse. So I think we've all kind of seen that, where you have a horse and then other horses start coming up and you go, oh crap, right? Then you get kind of nervous and everything goes downhill from there. So they're just saying, you know, and honestly, it's not a great situation. You don't want to be in the middle of that, especially if they don't know the other horse, but that our own tension and stress and fear can make the horse more scared. And it's funny, I seem to be like Auntie Erin when it comes to getting horses to go in trailers. You know, if people have issues getting their horse into a trailer, they call me. And it's because I'm not worried about it. Like I'm not stressed out. And so half the time horses don't want to go into a trailer. It's because the owner's like, oh gosh, we're gonna go in the trailer. Okay. They bring that stress out. So I step in the trailer, I lean back against the side wall and I go, all right, I got all day. Remember? I got all day. There's nothing I'd rather do than stand here at this trailer. And they just kind of go in. I don't even have any skill sets. Like I've learned all the different natural horsemanship skill stuff to get horses in trailers. I don't use any of them. I just lean back against a trailer and I go, okay, come on. Eventually they go, this is boring. Let's get in and go. It's just weird. I don't use any of these fancy ways to get horses in trailers because I just think people bring too much emotion to that, especially if they're scared. So horses pick up on all that. And I think we all know that. The next section is cool, and I'm going to go through it quickly because it talks about eyes and vision. Okay. And we've talked about, well, horse people talk about vision. We all know they can't see right here. And then there's a dead spot right there in the very back. But other than that, they can see. And it also says horses' vision is dichromatic. They see in two colors. Okay. The horse experiences its world through this tremendous peripheral vision and expects that you experience the same way. This was interesting, and I'd never thought of this before. The result is the horse may be signaling to us their irritation, but we can't see it. This could result in a frustrating horse or being bitten or kicked. So they can see much better than we can. So if we're standing back here and we signal to them to do something, they see it. Okay. But if we're standing back here and they signal to us, we can't see it. We can't see what they're signaling. Okay. Because our eyes are here. We're going forward. So if we're turned sideways and they're signaling over here, we can't see that. And so they're not listening to me because they think we can see like them. So that was interesting to me. I'd never thought of that before. It's like, oh yeah. That's also why, you know, I use that in, you know, massage. I'm always trying to keep my eyes on them, on their face and eyes, right? Which is difficult when you're picking up the hind leg, right? It's not easy. And some of you can see in the videos when you submit them that your horse is signaling you when your back is turned. And you're like, I can't see that, but you see it in the video. So I always think that's funny. So that fits in really well there. Okay. He's also saying, and I think a lot of us have heard this, is that the left side and right side. Okay, here it is. There's an old horseman's myth that horses only recognize what they see with the eye that they're seeing it with. The myth is that a horse seeing a spooky object on the right side will spook at the same object when they see it with their left side because they don't recognize it as something they've already seen. He says this is a myth and has been proven wrong by researchers. Okay. So according to this book, that is not true. I have heard that before. So, okay, that was kind of cool. So, I liked that section. It made me think differently. he goes into equine structure of the foot, which I'm not going to go into, but he talks about how you can tell how they're wearing their feet based off, you can tell how they're moving based off how they're wearing their feet. Okay, we know that. It says here, letting out a shoulder. Oh, this was something I wanted to bring up. Letting out a shoulder on a horse with a sore foot. So he talks about if they have a sore right foot, they're going to have more tension in the left leg because they're keeping all the weight on the left. Okay. So he says that letting out a shoulder on a horse with a sore foot will be removing the positive compensation. So there's positive compensation that occurs in order to try to protect that sore foot. The other side compensates, and he calls it positive compensation. The fascia and the muscles get tighter, hold it steadier. Okay. So he says, removing the positive compensation for the soreness and may result in less than positive reaction by the horse. If the horse is still sore, the horse may look lame after you release the shoulder. So that makes sense because you just kind of took away their crutch that they were using to to protect that foot a little bit. Okay. Marin
you
says my
wouldn't
alpha
wanna do
horse.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Go ahead and read that. I'll remember my question. Go ahead.
Okay. It says, Marin says, my alpha horse licks me and the other horses. I didn't know it was dominance. I didn't know it was either. Yeah, I didn't know it was either. That's interesting though. Pay attention more to that now, Marin, and report back to us. All right, Cindy?
So would that mean this last thing you read about the positive compensation? Would you maybe not want to do that until the horse isn't lame on the other foot? Because now they
Yeah.
got to go through that whole process again, and they were taking care of it themselves, really.
Well, so what he says is you need to fix the sore foot.
Yeah, okay, well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And then
he
you
didn't
can release
say don't do the body work, but he said, you have to fix that sore foot. You got to figure out the foot.
right.
And I
Okay.
recently had something like that happen. I had a client call me, and this was like 3 or 4 days after the massage, and they're like, she's just a bit off. She's just a bit sore. And it was whatever leg. And so I was like, luckily I have the whole thing videotaped, so I'm gonna go check it out and see what I see. And as I was looking, the leg that she was sore on or tight on, we'll say tight, the other leg, she kept taking weight off of it. And I was like, oh, she must be slightly sore on that other foot or leg. And then, so she became tighter on the leg that I was working with. And I did get the tension out. And so then she was sore 2 days later. So I let him know, I go, well, based off this video, and I gave him the section to watch, she's keeping weight off that other leg. So there's something probably going on with that other leg. Hopefully abscess. No, it wasn't actually that. I don't think it was an abscess just because they generally act like they're dying if it's an abscess, but there's something going on that other leg. And then when I released the other leg, the tension in it, she probably had to start over again, building that up. So we'll be interested. I'm going to talk to him about that and I'll give you guys an update. Okay. So I'm going to close with talking about, we got to get rolling here. Front suspension. So front suspension. This is the thoracic sling. Okay, thoracic sling. He goes into that a fair amount. So the thoracic sling is what holds the forelegs on the body and also holds the sternum and the trunk of the horse suspended between the two legs. Okay, so it's a big deal. And people study this as a full modality as the thoracic sling. Okay, so I've talked a little bit in the past about the muscles involved. But your main ones are going to be and I found a new word for the serratus, which I'd never seen before, is the serrati. So I call it the serratus ventralis, or the serrate. And then I'm reading here and it's called the serrati. I'm like, okay, add another one of that. We'll just keep calling it different names. So the serratus and the pectorals are going to be your main ones on the side and then underneath, okay? That keep that trunk and chest held in between the two legs. And then the ones on the top keep them from flying up off the top there, okay? Or flying down. Okay? So the homework for this week, because let's see what he says here. The sternum. Okay, so he has a diagram right here, the sternum. Okay. The sternum should be centered in between your horse's legs. The sternum should be equidistal from each humerus. The pectorals are depicted in figure 3 as a thin line, da, da, da. Rotation in the body spine will cause the sternum to be off center between the legs. Okay, so in between your horse's legs, that should be an equal distance. The very center of your sternum, your horse's sternum. Okay, checking the relative position of the sternum to determine if there is a twist in the thorax. The sternum should go straight back and not feel like there is a twisting or a movement to one side. Okay, so that's the chest, and you can feel the sternum. It's the bony protrusion there. Okay, and you want to slide your hand down the center of the sternum and see if your horse's chest is in the center. He also says that the body rotation can be reflected through the spine, reflecting in the rear end of the horse, but more often the horse will develop a compensatory strategy in the contralateral front limb, either raising that limb or leaning on it. The presence of a body rotation can be determined by the relative position of the sternum to the humerus as measured from side to side. Okay? So what I want to do, and then he goes into a little bit more about collection, which is always interesting to hear about. But what I want to do for this week is I want to talk about, yeah, and then it also I'm going to bring up one more thing. He also talks about how the shoulders have to be free to assist the thorax raising and to actually create the space for the thorax. Okay, so that thorax at center position, the shoulders have to be released and loose in order for that to move upward. This is where the collection part comes in, because collection, the thorax is going to move up. These shoulders need to be loose so that that rib cage and sternum can come up for proper collection. Okay, so important to loosen those shoulders up. And then he talks about telescoping. Okay. I'm going to keep that for next week. I'll keep that for next week. But what I want us to do this week is check the sternum. Okay. So you're going to find the sternum on your horse, which is the very center. You'll feel it sticking out. Even your big beefy horses, you'll still feel it. And then I want you to follow it with your thumb all the way down the center line until the end of the sternum. And also then take your hands on the side and follow them down and see if one side feels tighter. Okay. So do that for your horses and see what you notice. We'll check on these. Yeah, probably Marin, the serrati. Yeah, probably. We'll talk about what we have found. And then also, along with that, do some pectoral work if you find that one side is tight. Because remember, it's the serrate that's causing that and the pectoral. Okay. So we talked about serrate like 2 weeks ago, I think. So you can look that up. And then pectorals, you're going to rub them gently. If they hate that, you're going to slap them immediately. Slap, 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 slap. Okay. And then what I want you to do to check those pectorals also is I like to stand in front of the horse. Okay, they're here. And you're going to slide your hand up into their armpit and you're going to grab it. Grab it. And you have to go really high up there. And you should feel like a pork loin, like they feel like kind of pork loins going across there. So reach up into that armpit and see if you can grab a big pork loin. Now, Georgia has a big pork loin, and little Chester with no chest, has a little tiny pork loin. Okay, so depending on your horse, you have like the leaner style horses, Chester, Arabians, Pasafinos, the smaller, leaner muscles, you're gonna have a little pork loin. You got beefcakes, you're gonna have big pork loins. Okay. So just see if you can reach up there. If you feel something that feels like a grape, that's a knot, and I like to squeeze those until they go away. But I want everyone to see if they can actually grab the pectoral. It should fit perfectly in your hand. It's about that size. Okay, but what I notice is that people don't really, they just kind of reach and then they kind of grab and they're like, I'm not feeling it. It's like, no, up and grab like you're trying to get a hold of it. Okay, and then do it on both sides and see if one side is tighter. You should also be able to slide your hand way up into their armpit from the front and the back. Way up in there. Your whole hand should disappear. Should be gone. Okay. So that's going to be your homework. I want to check the sternum. So once you've looked at your sternum, if you notice that it's tilted to one side, go look at the spine and see if it's reflected in the spine. Because, right, if the sternum is tilted at the bottom to one direction, it's going to be reflected in the spine because they're connected up at the top. All right. That's the plan. And then we'll start on some fascia release next week. And some of you already know them because I was looking through them. So it'll be good. It'll be fun. We'll see what the differences are. Okay. That's all I got. Any questions? Nope. All right. Have a good week. I will talk to you guys either this week or next week. Bye, guys. Thank you.